Well, hello, shell buddies. Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a beach report for you, considering that it's spring break and a lot of folks are coming to the beaches in Florida and want to know what's going on around here. If you've watched the news at all, we've had some pretty interesting goings on. As is usual, if we have a storm situation or something going on to the beach, erosional damage or this or that, you guys know that I drop what I'm doing with my normal editing schedule and go and see what's going on so I can keep you updated about it as best as I can. So yes, it is spring break in Florida and naturally our beaches are packed. But today, we got to see something that hasn't even happened since 2008 and I've never even seen one actually in real life. And that was a sperm whale, which has beached itself at the Service Club Park Beach in Venice, Florida. If you're familiar with the area, Service Club Beach is just above Sharky's on the pier and a little ways above Casperson. So if you've been to the area before, that kind of helps you get your bearings. Now, it has made national news. It was even like it was on CNN even. The running theory right now is that it was unhealthy and there was something wrong with it because it was very underweight, according to the folks from Mott Marine and from FWC, who were interviewed by separate news agencies earlier, all throughout yesterday and today. Apparently, it washed up sometime early in the morning on Sunday, and it seemingly had beached itself, kind of. Not really sure how, because these are a deep water animal. These things like to be thousands of feet below the surface. They usually don't want anything to do with the shoreline at all whatsoever. So being that it was underweight and awfully close to shore, the presumption is that something health-wise was wrong with it. So FWC was out there with folks from Mott Marine and NOAA today. They did a beachside necropsy, if you will. They took tissue samples and they're going to run some tests back at the lab and see what actually happened with this animal. According to what we heard on the news earlier today, the plan was to drag it off the beach, get it on a flatbed, and bring it to the NOAA Southeast Regional building, but that didn't happen. Today we're doing something different. Today we are down at Venice. Right now we are between Sharky's by the pier and the Service Club Park. The craziest thing happened this weekend. We had a sperm whale that was not in good shape wash into shore, get stranded on a sandbar, and pass away about 3 o'clock this morning. Now this beach took some pretty significant damage from Eudalia. As you can see, the beach is missing here. There's a big shelf. So we're going to try to work our way around a little bit. I'm going to get here by the edge. Holy smokes! Holy smokes, holy smokes. Alright, there's all the people wanting to check this thing out. That large shape in the water is a 50-foot sperm whale. Obviously the Eudalia stuff hasn't quite all been addressed yet. We do have some beach erosion issues here too. And the crowd of people is incredible. Not easy terrain to navigate. Boy, oh boy. Look at the crowd though, oh my God. You wouldn't think this many people would want to just come to see an expired critter, but they're thinking the same way we were. When are you ever going to get this close to a whale again? Alright, I think I'm going to just stop here because they're moving the heavy equipment toward the whale now. Okay, so the story with this poor fella, he's somewhere between 30 and 50 feet long, and he washed up Sunday early morning, like Saturday night into Sunday morning. He was trapped on a sandbar and was still at the time alive. The weather was horrendous wind-wise, and the waves were 3, 4, and 5 feet. They couldn't even get the sheriff's boat over to this thing. So unfortunately, any efforts to try to save it were kind of impossible because of the conditions. They had hoped if it survived the night, the thought of maybe, well, at first they thought they were going to put it to sleep and then drag it back out. Realized that couldn't get done. Then they wanted to euthanize it if they couldn't get it unstuck, rather than let it sit there and flop around and suffer. And it passed away about 3 a.m. they said, from FWC. They spent the morning taking samples from it, and as you can see, this is an extremely crowded beach. Big tourism area because of all the shark teeth and everything else that people find around this area. We're literally just above Sharkies on the pier. We're not far from it. So now it looks like they're moving the equipment so that they can reposition it and maybe, I don't know, lift it or get it off the sandbar. I'm not exactly sure how they're going to do that. I don't know if you can see this. But see when the water churns, how all of that sand moves with it? It's very soft. This is a tough place to run any kind of heavy equipment because it's a loose sand beach. So we will keep some tabs on this and see what happens next. We got a number of guys in the water trying to get ties around the carcass. And see, we have sharks in the Gulf, right? So we can't just let this thing sit here and rot. Number one, the smell will be unbearable. And number two, it will draw in sharks and it will make a bit of a hazard. So can't really leave it on the beach. And they're having a hard time to get at it to bring it out further. I see 4 or 5 different folks from FWC, that's the Florida Wildlife Commission. And everybody's just trying to figure out what happened here. This whale is one of a number that have washed ashore in the last couple of days along the eastern seaboard. I've heard stories of New Jersey and Virginia also had some wash-ins. A little more online when I get home from this and see what I can find out. There are a few, shall we say, conspiracy theories floating around the net about what is actually causing this. Truth be told, animals do wash up like this every year. We get whales and dolphins and porpoises that wash up on the shores, as well as fish. So these things do happen. But it's a little strange that just in the last couple of weeks, we've had one here in Florida, and then 3 up in Virginia in a 3-day period. And then actually, so far this year, we've had 5 dolphins and a porpoise wash up in New Jersey just since the beginning of the year. So they're theorizing that it has to do with traffic around the ports because of shipping lanes and things like that. There's another theory roaming around the net that it has something to do with the new wind farms they're installing offshore. I can't speak to any of that. I don't know if any of that's true, but it is something that does bear looking at, and we kind of do need to figure out what's happening here. I will also mention the tide is on the way back in, and that is not going to make this any easier for these guys out here trying to get this thing moved. Huge crowd of onlookers has come here. A lot of people just to see one. I mean, this is the closest I've ever been to a whale in my life, and I live here. The last time we had a wash-in, I believe, was 2008, so it's been some time since we've had one. All right, well, here they go. Now, wow, those waves, dang, those are rough. I know a few folks had suggested, why couldn't they get helicopters or boats? I'd like to point out that that thing is the same size as that piece of heavy equipment. And you see a 6-foot tall guy sitting inside of the thing. And I'm not sure that's going to lift it, because he's bringing the back end of that piece of equipment right up off the ground. He's tipping forward. Oh my gosh. Wow, look at the teeth in that mouth. Wow. Holy moly.
girls. The blood is coming this way. So.
Yep, there's a little bit of blood in the water from this animal, so we're gonna have to move here shortly. The equipment guy has managed to get a better handle on it. He's trying again to lift it. If they can get it on the beach, they can maybe move it with more equipment, get it on a truck and bring it someplace. Oh my gosh! Holy cow! Dang! Everybody all right over there? Wow! Damn! All right, as we're seeing, not going to be an easy process to get this unfortunate creature moved. Still got a guy or two over there in the water on the other side, ready to rehook some more straps to it. Clearly they need something heavier duty. Yuck. It looks like they may just try to scoop the animal. Next, that's with these waves rolling in, that's a bit of a tricky prospect too. All right, I can smell it from here as well. I'm probably 70 odd, maybe 60 odd feet away from this thing. Oh God. Oh my God, my God, my God. And that poor guy over there helping the equipment guy in the water. Getting slammed in there. I mean, literally, there's hundreds of people here watching this. Again, haven't had this happen since 2008. Anywhere near here. The equipment, it could be bigger. They maybe would have wanted to do this with 2 instead of 1, but I understand they had to kind of act sort of quickly this morning to get things addressed once they realized the animal had expired. And despite all the efforts to try to save it, the conditions just did not allow for that. There is no word as of this moment from FWC what killed this animal, which is why I don't want to be in the water. I don't know if it died of something it caught, or if it just had something congenitally wrong with it. Alright, now the blood is in the water from up there. You can see some of it out in the water here, and all along us on the shoreline, now heading down toward the pier. This removal is not going cleanly, shall we say. Look at the back end of that thing come up. Oh my God, it looks like he's gonna flip that thing. Man. It appears they're trying to move the dirt around the carcass, because trying to grab it with that piece of equipment has just resulted in tears and a big mess. Okay, that's kind of gross. And people are just standing there like it's nothing. I got this guy out here with his cell phone on a pole, trying to get a view of things because it's so crowded up there at the removal site. But from this distance now, you can see the water's getting quite red. And since we know that this is the shark tooth capital of the world, it's not just the fossil ones here. Something to keep in mind, folks. All right, we are making our way off of Venice Beach. As you can see, more people still all arriving. They want to see the whale, but the water is now full of blood. And since there are sharks in the Gulf of Mexico, this is no place to be swimming today. This story is coverage from News Channel 8 out of Sarasota, actually. And if you go to their website and you type in this title that you see here, How Did One Get Stuck in Sarasota County, you'll come up with this exact same article and video footage showing the expert from Montmarine getting interviewed and what have you. But essentially, despite being underweight for its size, this animal is estimated to be somewhere between 60 and 65,000 or so pounds, and approximately 44 feet long. You can see in the pictures how very large this whale actually was. And unfortunately, underweight for its size, so obviously something was going on with it. And I'll let you read the rest of that. You can pause here to read the article if you like, or you can pull it up on the News Channel 8 website as well with the title that I showed you earlier. And you will also see the expert talking about predation being a concern, which is why they didn't want people in the water with all that blood and with sharks in the area, since we know that we do have them around here. After we left here, we tried to salvage the day and see if we could go get any shark tooth hunting done, but unfortunately, after hitting 3 beaches and every parking lot being completely full, by the time we hit the 3rd beach down Minnesota Key somewhere, it was pushing 2 o'clock, I think. So unfortunately, with the traffic and spring break, we didn't get any shark tooth hunting done today either. But the next time we go, of course, I will post a video about that. And if you're planning on going to the beaches, here's some things that you should know. Number 1, if something washes in, don't go swimming and playing around by it if there's blood. Okay, guys, sharks live in the Gulf of Mexico. The experts were telling us all through yesterday and today that predation was a concern. That amount of blood and the smell of the decomposition, I mean, the fish and the birds can all smell that. They all knew way before people did what was going on there. So there is talk that they may actually close the beach down at Service Club and slightly below it just for a day or so until all of this stuff clears out. We'll see what happens after they get it towed offshore. The next time that they have available to do that is going to be the next high tide. And when I looked that up, that was going to be 1 something in the morning. This might be a little tricky to do in the dark, especially with the sandbars and everything being so different. A following high tide after that will be 1 o'clock something in the afternoon. If I had to take a guess, that's probably when Sea Tow will be there to pull it out. I don't think they're going to do it in the dark, and they're not going to be able to do it early in the morning when the tide is lower. So if you want to get down there and see it, you still maybe have a chance if you get down there like first thing in the morning. I'm not sure you want to, but a lot of, I mean, hey, well, I know a lot of people showed up to see this thing, including us. So go on ahead and get out there and get a look at it while it's still here. It'll probably be gone by about 1:30, 2 in the afternoon, I would say tomorrow the latest. So they're not going to keep this thing around. So if you are coming down to Florida's beaches for spring break, there's lots of other places you can go that have absolutely no whale on them, I promise. So beach reports and conditions for the greater area that I'm in, from about St. Pete down to about Stumps Pass, everything has been looking great. Shells have been hit and miss. Some of the time we go someplace and we're expecting to see stuff, we don't. Other places we show up, we don't think we're going to find anything, and we do. So the sandbars and the currents have moved things around all over the place. And since it is spring break, I am going to recommend that if you are going to the beaches anywhere in, let's say, Pinellas, Manatee, or Sarasota counties, you will probably want to get there quite early, because with the tourism here and it being spring break, there's a lot of folks coming to the beach. There's not a lot of parking available in some of these places, and you know what we say, the early sheller gets the whelk. Thank you so much for joining us for this beach report. As always, stay tuned to the Ashway Bijou channel for more updates and more cool videos on lots of crazy and awesome beach adventures that you can have only here on the Central Gulf Coast of Florida.